How come nobody ever asks me if they'll get dirty easily when I review black boots? Something to think about. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas X 18.1 in the Shadow Mode Pack colorway. Full blackout of what I think is one of the best boots from the Adidas brand right now, and as you see in the title of this video, my personal favorite out of everything they make right now. We're going to take a closer look at this colorway in today's video, which is quite honestly very straightforward, but they look absolutely fantastic, and I'll tell you why I think, or at least why it is my personal favorite boot from the Adidas brand right now. Tech specs, the way they fit and feel on feet, essentially everything you need to know will be covered in this video. So if you want to learn more, please stick around and watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes. We'll be able to pick these up below their normal $225 retail price in all the currently available colorways. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. And included with the boots is this box and this string bag, which is technically in matching colors, but they're always this color. It's black mesh, black strings with the Adidas and X logos there on the front in white. Overall string bag score is a 7.95 out of 11.95. I think that was too high of a rating. First things first, let's take a closer look at the colorway, which is honestly pretty straightforward. They're almost fully blacked out, aside from the Speedmesh branding here and the white X logo on the back. And you could argue that the black translucent plastic almost has a bluish tinge to it. Once you actually start wearing them and they get a little bit dirty, it definitely ends up looking more black, but you can see against the black upper, it definitely does have a bluish look. And it's matte black for the majority of the upper, a little bit lighter, if that makes any sense, towards the front rather than the back, as well as across the top where the laces are. But the cool aspect of this colorway is the digi camo within the 3 Adidas stripes. It looks to be black on black, but the stripes are actually reflective, which is a very, very cool looking effect. And because this is the 18.1 and not the 18 plus, it doesn't have any kind of wearable finish on the sole plate. So you don't have that same digi camo pattern like you'll find on the Shadow Mode X18 Plus, which I thought was pretty cool, but honestly, I don't mind the way that this looks either. If they're all black, just sticking with all black is definitely a good look. I really like this colorway. I'm a big fan of wearing blackouts in general, but let me know what you guys think of the colorway down below in the comments. Now, my personal favorite boots is always a popular topic of discussion in the comment sections of my video. It's something I get asked about on a regular basis. So for those that regularly follow the channel and kind of know my personal preferences around boots in general, you might be surprised to hear that this is my personal favorite Adidas boot. You might think it's maybe the Copa 18.1 or even the Predator 18.1, because we all know it's not a plus model, laceless hater. Anyways, the reason why I really like these is mainly because they just feel very natural to me. It's one of those boots that I put on for the first time and immediately felt comfortable wearing them. I like the way they fit. I like the way the upper feels. They're comfortable, of course, and I actually really like this particular stud pattern. I know Adidas doesn't really change up their stud patterns and haven't for several years now. They're pretty much all the same layout, but this very minor tweak that they've made feels legitimately different than everything else that they've put out over the last several years in a very positive way. So for all those main factors, not to say that these are perfect, because there are some things I don't like about them, which I'll point out in this video, I just really like what these have going for them. So for those reasons, this is my personal favorite Adidas boot at the moment. Now the upper is completely different than what you'll find on the X18 Plus and pretty much feels quite similar if I'm being honest, but it does have a little bit more of a softness to it and a slightly more padded sensation. It is very clearly labeled as Speedmesh, and basically it's just that simple. It is a mesh-based synthetic material, which you can pretty clearly see over top of that polyurethane top layer with the mesh texturing underneath. It's an engineered mesh essentially, where it's structured to be a little bit more open and a little bit more padded in certain areas, and then obviously more structured along the outside edges where you want that added structure to the upper for the sake of stability. It's got a little bit of a segmentation right here that looks kind of odd, but honestly you don't feel at all. Reminds me a lot of what we used to see on the 2014 F50 ADIZERO, which I guess if I'm comparing this to any past model from the Adidas brand, it probably is closest to that 2014 F50, which I think was the best F50 ADIZERO model that Adidas ever put out. possibly why I like these so much, along with that Speedmesh upper, which provides a very soft, relatively thin touch on the ball, but with that little bit of padding because it is a mesh-based synthetic. It's a one-piece construction as well, with the laces being pushed to the medial side, which I would say is the one thing about this shoe that I'm personally not crazy about. It's not that it's uncomfortable, it's not that it feels weird, it's not that the laces get in the way in any way at all. None of those are issues for me. I just would rather the laces be down the middle or even off-centered to the lateral side. I just think that looks better. I think it feels a little bit better. But again, that's not to say that this is bad in any way at all. Where the laces are positioned, you're gonna find this very thin mesh material with really no extra padding. It's actually the thinnest part of the upper. So there's a little bit of variation in regards to touch on the ball in this area of the foot versus everywhere else, despite this being a one-piece construction. But honestly, that is not that big of a deal. Also, the upper is left pretty much completely smooth, so there's not a lot of extra grip, which honestly I do not mind with this style of boot. Moving on to the rear, you're gonna find what they are calling the claw collar, which is basically a low cut with an extension piece at the back and front. I don't mind the extension piece at the back from a visual standpoint. I really wish it would have curved away, maintaining that S-curve design that we had with the X16 and X17 generations. This can kind of chafe on the back of your Achilles tendon if you wear really low cut socks while playing, which I personally never do, so it's just not an issue for me. And then it has the extension piece at the front, which honestly I wish just wasn't there. It causes this front piece to kind of bunch up a little bit when the shoes are on your feet. You don't notice it, but it's visually just not very aesthetically pleasing. You'll see what that looks like later during the on-feet portion of the video though. Again, not an issue, just a very minor thing that I could have done without. At the back, you're gonna find that it does have this little rib design that adds some structure to the back, but for the most part, still has nice flexibility to it. And then the heel liner, which to me is one of my personal favorite aspects of this shoe. One of the best heel liners in the business right now. It's a padded synthetic suede, but instead of just being consistently padded across the entire liner, it's got these two kind of pillows or two little bumps that are on either side of the ankle, and then it's kind of more thin across the back. So you kind of sit in this pocket of padding, which is kind of difficult for me to show you guys, but I think you get the idea of what's happening. Synthetic suede, I think, is a great heel liner material in regards to gripping your socks, so heel slippage is not an issue at all. Very comfortable out of the box. Plus, you can see those little dots on the pads themselves. Those are the same grip dots that we saw on the X17 and X16 Plus models, which basically just add grip to your socks, helps your heels stay locked in place, and I just really like this heel liner. Don't ask me why. Clearly I ran out of things to say. The insole is fully removable. It features a synthetic suede lining on top, some perforations throughout, and it's made from a single layer of this black foam. Pretty much the standard comfort insole from Adidas that we've been seeing since 2010. Moving to the base, you'll find yet another variation of the Adidas Sprint frame that does include the external heel counter. This time around though, they have cleverly named it the Speed frame to match the Speedmesh. Speed is clearly the theme here. Either way, it's the same TPU construction that we're used to seeing. It's got some structure through the midfoot, and honestly, it feels really good. Good flexibility in the forefoot, stiffness where you need it. It's a solid base despite being so lightweight. And then of course you have the FG-AG stud pattern, which like I said earlier in the video, is the same layout we're used to seeing within the Adidas brand over the last several years now, since they first introduced it back in 2010. But this has slightly different stud tips in that they're kind of triangular in shape, but they have a little cutout, so they're almost like a chevron style stud. I would compare them to Mercurials, but it's kind of not like that at all, both in regards to look as well as feel, but it is more aggressive than any other Adidas stud pattern that I think I've ever worn. So for those reasons, I really do like the way that they feel in regards to just bite in general, especially on natural grass. It can be slightly clingy on artificial grass, but you can definitely get away with it. And then in the heel, they went with conical studs, which honestly I don't think makes that big of a difference at all. It's not something that I notice as being really distinctive in regards to how the stud pattern feels or performs. But overall, the sole plate and stud pattern base, I think this is the best one currently on offer from the Adidas brand. And then there's the weight, and given that this is a speed boot, you would expect them to be very light, and they are. In a size 9.5 US, these guys are gonna weigh in at around 7.1, 7.2 ounces, which is not the lightest speed boot currently on offer. Technically, the 18 Plus model is going to be ever so slightly lighter by about 0.2, 0.3 ounces. Not something you're gonna be able to notice on feet whatsoever. And if we're comparing this to the Mercurial Vapor 12 Elite, those are technically just a smidge lighter as well. But again, the weight differences between all these models is extremely minimal. If you're looking for a lightweight feel, but also a boot that feels very comfortable, comfortable and isn't overly tight like a lot of speed boots are, you're really gonna like the way that these feel. So as you can see, or probably won't be able to see from this distance, I swapped out the stock black laces for the laces that these boots should have came with in the first place, and that is some black reflective laces, these being my own brand, SR4U replacement laces. The reflective bits obviously match the reflective stripes, and you wanna maintain the blackout look. Hence why I went with black ones. If you're interested in some SR4U replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, I think the X18.1 is the most comfortable boot out of the box from the Adidas brand right now. Because it's a mesh-based upper, it really has no stiffness to it. It's very, very flexible, so there just isn't much to break in, although they do seem to get a little bit softer after the first wear or so. And then the heel area, I really like this heel liner. It feels different than anything else out there right now, but very comfortable, very secure. And again, it's just one of those shoes that feel pretty much ready to go out of the box, which is what I mostly look for in any boots, period. I want them to be comfortable straight away, and I get that sensation with this particular model. Like I mentioned earlier, just minor complaints. This piece kind of sticks up high and it bunches up here across the top of the foot. A little bit difficult to see because it is black, but it is something that you definitely will notice and will happen for most people. And I could do without the extension piece at the back, although I do think it does look quite cool. As far as fit is concerned, it's a speed boot, so you'd expect them to be very tight. And they do have a nice snug fit, but they're definitely not overly narrow by any means at all. I would say these are gonna fit most people as long as you don't have super wide feet, and they will actually stretch ever so slightly after some wear time as well, so please keep that in mind. So width-wise, I think most people aren't gonna have any issues with these. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US. My feet are about a 9.25, and the fit and the length is pretty much perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I am clearly a big fan of the X18.1. That is no surprise if you've watched this entire video. And for those that will ask which one I prefer between the 18 Plus and the 18.1 in the current X lineup, it's the X18.1. The lacing system makes the biggest difference in the world when it comes to lockdown, security, responsiveness, just the way that the boot feels in general, not to mention the way that it fits. I just much prefer having that lacing system and the adjustability that comes along with it. Not to mention that the Speedmesh upper just feels a little bit softer and a little bit more flexible to me versus the skeletal weave on the Laceless Plus model. They're both good, they're both different, but I prefer the X18.1. And as a whole, I just think it's a very simple, clean speed boot package. They fit well, they're comfortable, they remind me a lot of that 2014 F50 ADIZERO, which is not a bad thing at all. And overall, there's just not much about it that I dislike, which I think is part of the reason why I can call it my personal favorite, because almost everything else from the Adidas brand, while I think they make a lot of good stuff, there's a lot of things that bother me about certain models as well. There aren't quite as many things that bother me about these though. Anyways guys, that is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $225 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.